Can I thank the organizers of this event, Rina in particular, for inviting me to be with you this evening. It's been a pleasure being here, and the entertainment that was presented by the dancers from Bosnia was wonderful. The food, I think I'll probably not be able to describe the variety that was on offer and the quality. Because at the end of the day, it's this diversity that we can create or live with which enriches our life. Monocultures are very, very boring. And I'm speaking to you from experience. And when I hear some of the stories which our new friends who have arrived in Britain in the last few years relay to me, it triggers a bell somewhere, because I myself I wasn't a refugee, but I was a newcomer who came into this country at the age of 15 and had to rebuild my life here from total scratch. I wasn't able to understand any English, I wasn't able to read or write it, and then inch by inch, as I discovered more about Britain, I started to identify opportunities and took every opportunity, or tried to take every opportunity which came my way. And I think most of you will go through that process, and hopefully, in 10, 15 years' time, you will have a lot of success to show for yourself. And I'm not trying to oversell Derby or undersell Derby in that sense, but Derby is a very good place to settle. People here are very welcoming, and in a sense, Derby's had quite a bit of history of living with newcomers and migration issues. Just after the war, we had a significant influx of newcomers from Ireland, then Eastern Europe, and then West Indian community came here in the late 50s, followed by Indians and Pakistanis. And then lately, we've had people from so many different corners of the world. And yet, the tensions which sometimes creep up as a result of us living together, it hasn't happened in Derby in the same way. And one of the fundamentals of us coexisting, living side by side with people from other communities, is the first lesson in coexistence is actually respect for other cultures, other religions, other traditions. And if we can take on board those three aspects, that we need to respect other people in order to receive respect back. And Derby, to an extent, has always believed in it. And in terms of offering opportunities, economic opportunities, educational opportunities, the process is not easy. Some of the deeply ingrained disadvantages which a newcomer, economic migrant, refugee, and when you are actually even struggling for your legal status in this country, it makes it harder. I have to accept, when my parents and when I came here, things were relatively easy. For example, getting a job wasn't as difficult. And even the pay differential between what people got paid if they worked in industry and what people were earning if they worked outside in public sector wasn't actually that much. There might have been 20%, 15% difference if you work the same number of hours. But the economic situation nowadays is much more difficult. I mean, some people are earning silly money like £2 million a year, maybe even more. And then there are other people who are barely earning £12,000 a year to make ends meet. So the economic situation in this country is very different to how it was in the 60s and 70s. And it's much harder for any newcomer. But if you can settle anywhere, I can say to you, maybe Derby is the best place. If it's got to happen to you, and you've got to leave your homeland and go somewhere else, I think the best place to come is Derby, because Derby has seen other people who arrived there and has treated them well. And over a period of time, if you look at some of the communities we settled there quite some time back, for example, say the Indian community, the Chinese community, and Pakistani community now appears to be heading that way, thereby that economically and educationally caught up with the attainment levels which exist locally or nationally. In some cases, they've even surpassed it. You know, their achievement levels are higher with the Chinese community and the Indian community in terms of attainment in schools and colleges and universities. But also, if you look at the prosperity levels, they are also, you know, the average earnings in some of those communities is beginning to be slightly higher than the national average in this country. You can see the economic contribution and the cultural contribution which many of these newcomers have brought to the Britain. It's enriched their life. If you could think what Britain might have been like 30 years ago even. If you went out to look for a place to have something to eat, you'd be lucky to get anything, and if it was kind of, I don't know, I don't want to offend anybody, but there was no variety. Fish and chips. If you needed something, and I remember in Derby in particular, there was a good place, there was a cafe bar known as Wimpy Bar. If you needed a drink, a soft drink, a coffee or a tea, there was only one place in the whole of the city that was open on a Sunday, and that was a Wimpy Bar. Just look at what is available now. Sunday doesn't feel like Sunday. That might be a good thing or a bad thing. Some religious communities think, well, maybe, you know, that's gone too far, and maybe we should have preserved Sunday in a different way and allow people time to get engaged in spiritual kind of, you know, prayers and whatever. But on the other side, there is so much more to enjoy. Any culture which can welcome and absorb other peoples, they always take a bit from those cultures, and that in turn enriches your culture. And I would leave you with that message. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of your exciting evening. It's a pleasure being here. And I say, as the mayor of the Derby City, you're all welcome, and I will do whatever I can to assist you to settle down in Derby, and hopefully you will make Derby your home. Thank you very much.